She fell asleep in the wrong hotel room and woke up to breakfast, wine, and a handsome millionaire. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching us from today. Kelly Monroe was very tired. She rubbed her eyes as she pulled her suitcase through a very fancy hotel called the Charleston Grand. It was a beautiful place with shiny floors and pretty lights. Kelly was 40 years old, and she didn't like taking flights at night anymore. But this flight was the only cheap one, and she had to take it to reach her niece's wedding in time. "Welcome to the Charleston Grand. How can I help you?" said a young man at the front desk. He didn't even look up from his computer. "I'm checking in. My name is Elara Monroe. My sister made the reservation," she said, brushing her brown hair behind her ear. The man typed quickly and said, "Ah, yes, Miss Monroe. Your sister gave you an upgrade to a better room." He gave her a key card. "Room 512. The elevators are to your right." "Thank you," Elara said softly. She was so tired. Her flight was late, her bag got lost for a while, and the rental car took 2 hours to get. All she wanted now was sleep. The elevator took her to a quiet hallway with soft carpets. She walked to room 512 and used her card. A green light flashed and the door opened. The room was lovely. It had soft lights and pretty cream-colored walls. The bed looked big and fluffy, with chocolates on the pillows. "Wow, Jenny really went all out," Elara said, talking about her sister. She dropped her bag, kicked off her shoes, and didn't even change her clothes. She was too tired. She got into bed with a small blanket and was asleep in minutes. Thayer Fox walked into his suite at the Charleston Grand. He was 46 and had built a big company that worked with houses and buildings. But tonight, after a long dinner meeting, he just wanted sleep. He saw a "Do Not Disturb" sign on the door. That was strange. He didn't put it there. Using his special hotel card, he opened the door quietly. Maybe his helper set up a surprise meeting? The main room was empty. But when he walked to the bedroom, he stopped suddenly. There was a woman asleep on his bed. She had brown hair spread across his pillow. She had pulled the blanket around her and pushed all the covers away. Thayer didn't move. He didn't know what was going on. Did his helper give the room to someone else? Was it a fan or someone trying to meet him? But as he looked at her, she seemed really tired. She didn't look sneaky. Her face was peaceful, and she mumbled something like "peach cobbler" in her sleep. Thayer smiled. He could wake her up and ask her to leave, but something about her made him stop. She looked like she really needed sleep. So he quietly left the room, grabbed a blanket from the closet, and went to sleep in the guest bedroom. "Whoever you are," he whispered to himself, "you need sleep more than I need answers." Elara woke up with sunlight on her face. She blinked and looked around. For a second, she didn't remember where she was. Then she remembered her sister's fancy hotel. She stretched and smiled. She hadn't slept that well in months. Then she saw a tray next to the bed. It had coffee, pastries, fruit, and even a glass bottle with wine. Did Jenny do this too, she wondered. Then she saw him. A man stood by the window looking at the city. He was tall with gray hair that looked nice and messy. He wore light pants and a shirt with the sleeves rolled up. His arms were tan, and he held 2 coffee cups. Elara gasped and scooted back in the bed. The man turned. He smiled. He was handsome in a grown-up way. His eyes were kind. "You looked like you needed sleep more than answers," he said warmly. "Coffee?" Elara pulled the blanket up to her chin. Her heart beat fast. "Who are you? What are you doing in my room?" He chuckled. "Actually, it's my room. I'm Thayer Fox, and you are?" Elara looked around and noticed things she missed, like a man's watch and a jacket. Her face turned red. "Oh no, the front desk gave me the wrong room key, but it worked, so I thought it was mine. I'm so sorry, I was just so tired." Thayer didn't look mad. "I figured I'd wait and see who fate dropped into my suite. I didn't expect a woman who steals all the covers and talks about peach cobbler in her sleep." "I do not talk in my sleep," Elara said. Thayer smiled. "You mentioned your grandma's peach cobbler being better than Paula Dean's." Alara covered her face with her hands. This is so embarrassing. I'm Alara Monroe. My sister booked a room for me. Room 512. This is room 521. Maybe the front desk guy saw the numbers wrong, Thayer said. I should go, Alara said and got out of bed. She looked for her shoes. Wait, Thayer said kindly. Breakfast is already here. Let's eat. We can just pretend we're normal people for one morning. Alara looked at the yummy food and then at the door. Why aren't you mad? I slept in the guest room. You didn't hurt anything, Thayer said. And honestly, this is the most interesting thing that's happened in a long time. Alara smiled a little and sat back on the bed. She took the coffee he offered. It was warm and just right. So, Thayer said, sitting in a chair across from her, you're here for a wedding? My niece Jenny. She's marrying a local guy. Big wedding. My sister made it very fancy. Who's the groom? Eamon Pearson. His family has a shipping business. Thayer raised his eyebrows. Pearson Maritime? That's a big company. Great, Alara sighed. Now I feel even more out of place. You don't like weddings? Thayer asked. I like them fine. I just don't like the fancy talk. My sister married rich. I'm the one who stayed home to take care of our parents. Sounds like you gave up a lot, Thayer said. I don't regret it, Alara said. They were kind. They needed someone. Thayer looked at her closely. What do you do now? I run a small library in Cooperville, Georgia. Nothing special. I think books are magical, Thayer said. Alara laughed. That's what I tell the kids at story time. Why the red-eye flight? Thayer asked. Because wedding flights are expensive, and I had to find someone to watch the library. Thayer nodded. Then he asked, what did you want to be when you were little? That's a funny question for breakfast with a stranger, Alara said. We're not strangers. You slept in my bed, Thayer joked. Alara blushed but answered, I wanted to open a small bed and breakfast, just a cozy place where I could cook and make guests feel happy. Why didn't you? My dad had a stroke when I was 28. Then Mom got Alzheimer's. When they passed, it felt too late to start. It's never too late, Thayer said seriously. What about you? Alara asked. What did you want to be? I'm a real estate developer, but I wanted to be a chef. Really? Alara said, surprised. He laughed. You think I don't look like a chef? You just look corporate. That's the suit. If you saw me cooking at 2 a.m., you'd think different. So why real estate? My family. The Fox name is old money in Charleston. My dad said no to cooking school. Thayer looked sad for a moment. So I followed what he wanted. Now I own half the city and eat fancy food other people cook. He smiled, but not happily. They ate quietly for a while. Alara hadn't felt this comfortable with someone new in a long time. You know what's strange? Thayer said. All my money never gave me what I want most. Real connection. People always want something from me. That sounds lonely, Alara said softly. It is, Thayer said. What about you? Do you have someone special? Alara shook her head. Not in a long time. It's hard in a small town, and I'm tired of pretending I'm okay with being alone, but I've made peace with it. Have you really? Thayer asked gently. Before she could answer, her phone rang. She looked at the screen. My sister. You should take it, Thayer said. Alara answered. Yes, I'm here. No, everything's fine. Just a room mix-up. I'll meet you for lunch. I have the dress. Love you too. She hung up and looked at Thayer. I should go. Family is waiting. Of course, he said, picking up the plates. Let me walk you to your real room. You don't have to. I want to. It's Southern hospitality, he said with a smile. They picked up her things and Thayer walked her down the hall. Alara walked down the hallway to room 512. She felt very aware of how different they looked. She was wearing old wrinkled clothes from yesterday, but the man walking next to her looked like he came from a fancy magazine. When they got to her door, Alara turned to thank him. She suddenly felt a little shy. Thank you for being so nice about all of this, she said. Most men would have called security. Most women would have screamed if they woke up and saw a stranger in their room. Thayer smiled and said, It was your room. Alara smiled back. Still, it was strange. Thayer's smile became more serious. How about dinner tonight? In my room. Or yours. We'll laugh about this mix-up. Alara didn't answer right away. Was he asking her on a date? I'm not the kind of woman you usually spend time with, she said. Good, he said warmly. I'm tired of that kind of woman. I want to be with someone real. Her heart started beating fast, but she still felt unsure. I'll think about it, she said. Thayer nodded. Fair enough. The invitation is open. He reached into his pocket and gave her a business card. My cell number is on here. Let me know. As Alara watched him walk away, she wondered if this was the strangest way to meet someone, or if the universe was playing a trick on her, a small-town librarian who had stopped believing in love a long time ago. She put the card in her pocket and went into her real room. She was already thinking about what she might wear to dinner, if she found the courage to say yes. Linnea Monroe Hayes almost choked on her iced tea when Alara told her what happened that morning. They were sitting at a fancy restaurant near the harbor, the kind with white tablecloths and waiters who filled your water after every sip. It was an honest mistake, Alara said, playing with her napkin. The key worked. How was I supposed to know? Linnea, who was 3 years older and always looked perfect in her fancy dress, shook her head. Only you could sleep in a stranger's bed and end up with a breakfast date. It wasn't a date, Alara said. It was just fixing the mess. And dinner tonight? Is that part of fixing the mess too? Alara hadn't planned to tell her sister about Thayer's dinner invite, but Linnea always had a way of getting secrets out of her. I haven't decided if I'm going, Alara said. Alara Monroe, of course you're going. Linnea leaned in and spoke in a low voice. Do you know who Thayer Fox is? He said he's a real estate developer, Alara said. Linnea rolled her eyes. He's not just a developer. He's one of the richest men in Charleston, old money and smart new business. He's the most wanted bachelor in the city. Alara's stomach sank. Now I really can't go. What are you talking about? This is your big chance. Chance for what? To be his pity project? A boring small-town librarian he feels sorry for? Linnea's face softened. Is that really how you see yourself? Alara looked away and watched the boats in the harbor. I'm just being real. Men like that don't date women like me. What kind of woman are you? You know what I mean, Mag. I'm 40. I wear comfy shoes. The most exciting thing last month was getting a new coffee maker for the library. Linnea reached across the table and held Alara's hand. You're smart, kind, and beautiful, even if you forget that sometimes. Maybe Thayer sees what I've been telling you for years. Alara squeezed her sister's hand. She was thankful for the kind words, even if she didn't fully believe them. Maybe he's just bored, and I'm something new. Only one way to find out. Back in her hotel room, Alara looked at the clothes in her suitcase. None of them looked right for dinner with a millionaire. She had packed for a wedding, not for a fancy dinner. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. Still hoping to see you tonight, 7 p.m. Her heart did a little happy jump. She sat on the bed holding his card and her phone. What was she doing? Before she could change her mind, she texted, I'll be there. Room service. He replied right away. Perfect. Bring your appetite and nothing else. Alara's cheeks turned red. What did that mean? Another message came quickly. That came out wrong. I meant I'll handle everything. Just bring yourself. Alara laughed. His quick fix was sweet. Just then, someone knocked on her door. A bellhop stood outside holding a big white box. Delivery for Miss Monroe. Surprised, Alara took the box and opened it on her bed. Inside was a simple but pretty blue dress. There was also a note, in case you didn't pack for dinner. Wear this if you want. If not, wear whatever makes you happy. Alara held up the dress. It was beautiful, not too fancy, not too plain, and it fit her perfectly. How did he know her size? She looked at the tag. It came from the hotel boutique. He must have asked someone for help. That was both sweet and a little bossy. Was he being romantic or trying to control things? Did it matter? The dress was perfect. She held it up in front of the mirror. For the first time in a long while, she felt excited to dress up for a man. At exactly 7:30, Alara stood in front of room 521. She wore the blue dress and a pair of low heels she brought for the wedding. She had done her hair and makeup just enough to look nice without trying too hard. She knocked on the door, feeling nervous. Thayer opened it. For a moment, they just looked at each other. He wore dark pants and a light blue shirt that somehow matched her dress. His hair looked freshly washed, and he smelled really good. "You look beautiful," he said softly, letting her in. "The dress is perfect," Alara said. "Thank you. You didn't have to." "I wanted to," Thayer said, "and you would have looked beautiful in anything." The room looked magical. The lights were soft. Candles glowed on the table. Soft music played. A bottle of wine sat next to two glasses, and their dinner was covered with silver lids. "This is a lot," Alara said. "Too much?" Thayer asked, suddenly unsure. She smiled. "No, it's lovely. I'm just not used to this kind of thing." "I'm a detail guy," he said, pulling out her chair. "It's my job." Dinner was Southern food made by the hotel's top chef. Shrimp and grits, fresh bread, and roasted vegetables. "I hope you're not allergic to seafood," he said, pouring wine. "I probably should have asked." "I love shrimp and grits," Alara said. "It's perfect." "A true Southern girl," he teased. They talked while they ate. They shared their favorite books, places they'd been, and food they liked. Thayer had traveled a lot but didn't brag. He asked about her library and the kids who came for story time. "What made you want to be a librarian?" he asked during dessert. "Peach cobbler." Alara laughed. "You remembered." "I want to know if it's as good as your grandma's." "Not even close," she said after a bite. "She had a secret ingredient." "What was it?" "If I told you, it wouldn't be a secret." She smiled and said, "I became a librarian because books helped me when I was little. We didn't have much, but the library was free. I could go anywhere and be anyone in a book." Thayer looked at her with kind eyes. "You light up when you talk about books." "Do I?" "Yes. It's nice to see someone love their job." "What about you?" Alara asked. "Do you like your work?" "I've made peace with it," Thayer said. I'm good at it, and I try to help the city with it. That's pretty great. I love Charleston. I want it to do well." They talked about her dream of opening a bed and breakfast. She described the old house, the garden, and rooms named after book characters. "That sounds amazing," Thayer said. "Why do you talk about it like it's not going to happen?" "Because I'm 40, I don't have much money, and I've never run a business. Those are just problems, not walls," he said. "Have you even looked into it?" Alara felt a little mad. "Easy for you to say. You probably had a trust fund." She regretted the words right away. "I'm sorry," she said. "No, you're right," he said. "I did have help, but that doesn't mean your dream isn't real." They sat in silence for a moment. Thayer asked, "If money didn't matter, would you still want to run a B&B?" Alara was surprised. "Yes, I think I would." "Then it's not a dead dream, it's just waiting." Alara looked at him. His words made her feel hopeful. "You're an optimist. I'm a realist who knows most problems aren't as big as they look." After dessert, they talked about her niece's wedding. Thayer knew the family and shared some secrets Linnea had left out. Then they stepped onto the balcony. The night air smelled like the ocean. The lights of the city sparkled below. The stars twinkled above. "It doesn't feel like this is my life," Alara said. "Whose life does it feel like?" Thayer asked, standing close. "Someone more interesting. Someone who deserves this." Thayer turned to her. "Has anyone ever told you that you might be too hard on yourself?" "Some people," she said, smiling. "People who care about you?" "My sister. My best friend." "Smart people, then," Thayer said. He slowly reached out and gently moved a piece of hair behind Alara's ear. "Maybe you should listen to them," he said softly. His fingers touched her skin, and it made her feel something she hadn't felt in a long time. It was warm and kind, not rough or fast. It made her feel special. "Why are you doing this?" Alara asked. Her voice was very quiet. "Doing what?" Thayer asked. "This dinner, the dress, being so nice, even though I broke into your hotel room." Thayer smiled. "You had a key. That's not really breaking in. You know what I mean." Thayer stopped talking for a moment and thought about her question. "When I woke up today," he said, "I thought it would be like every other day. Meetings, phone calls, talking about stuff I don't even care about. But then I saw you sleeping in my bed, and everything felt different. Like the day had a question mark." "A question mark?" Alara asked. "I like question marks," Thayer said. "They don't happen a lot in my life." "So I'm just something new to you?" Alara asked, trying not to sound sad. "No," he said. "You're real. Do you know how rare that is? Most people want something from me. You don't. You're just you." "But you don't even know me," Alara said. "I'm learning," Thayer said, smiling. "And I like what I'm learning." He was standing very close now. Alara could see tiny lines near his eyes and a little beard on his face. He looked very nice and kind, and it made her heart beat fast. "I should go," she said, even though she didn't want to. "Should you?" he asked. "Yes, this," she waved her hand around, "is just for now. I'm leaving after the wedding. You live here? We're from different worlds." "What if we didn't have to be?" Thayer asked. Alara laughed a little. "Now you're being silly. Am I?" Thayer took her hand and gently rubbed her fingers. "What if the universe is giving us both a second chance?" "A second chance at what?" she asked. "At not giving up. At trying something new," he said. His voice was softer now, "at finding someone who really sees us." His eyes looked honest and her heart beat even faster. This all felt so fast, but also kind of right, like it was meant to happen a long time ago. "I don't know what to say," Alara said. "You don't have to say anything," Thayer replied. "Just don't run away because you're scared this could be real." He was so close now, she could feel his warm breath. It would be easy to lean in and kiss him. He looked at her like she mattered. But instead, she stepped back. "I should go. The rehearsal dinner is tomorrow, and I promised Linnea I'd help in the morning." Thayer looked a little sad, but nodded. "Of course. Thank you for dinner. It was lovely." "Will I see you again before you leave?" he asked as he walked her to the door. Alara paused. "I don't know. You could be my +1 for the wedding," Thayer said. She looked surprised. "The Pearsons always invite me," he said. "I usually don't go, but for you, I'd go." "I don't even have a +1, Alara said. "They cut the budget." Thayer smiled. "I know the groom's family. I'm sure it's fine." At the door, he took her hand again. "Think about it. No pressure." Alara nodded. She didn't know what to say. Then Thayer leaned in and kissed her cheek softly. His lips were warm on her skin. "Good night, Alara Monroe," he said. "Good night," she whispered. Then she left before she could change her mind. Back in her room, Alara took off her shoes and sat on the bed. She thought about the evening. What was she doing? Thayer was rich. He lived in a world of fancy things. She didn't belong there. But he made her feel something she hadn't felt in a long time. He saw her not as someone who helped others or just a sister or a small-town librarian, but as a woman with dreams. As she got ready for bed, her phone beeped. It was a message from Thayer. "In case you were wondering, your grandma was right. That peach cobbler you talked about in your sleep sounds amazing." Alara smiled. One dinner didn't have to mean anything. It could just be a nice story to tell someday. "Remember that time I accidentally slept in a millionaire's bed?" She got under the covers and told herself it was better to keep things simple. No mess, no big feelings. But as she fell asleep, she wondered, what if she took a chance? What if she tried something a little crazy, like falling for a man who lived in a different world? The next morning, Alara helped her sister get ready for the wedding. They packed little welcome bags with souvenirs and tiny bottles of champagne. She told Linnea about dinner with Thayer, but left out the mushy parts. "So he wants to be your date for the wedding?" Linnea asked while tying a ribbon on a bag. "And you said no?" I said I'd think about it, Alara said. What's there to think about? He's handsome, rich, and he likes you. That's the problem, Alara said. Why would someone like someone like me? Linnea stopped what she was doing. Because you're amazing, and maybe he's smart enough to see that. Or maybe I'm just a fun distraction, Alara said. Or maybe you've been alone so long you don't know when someone is being real with you, Linnea said gently. Alara didn't say anything. Not every man is like Kellen, Linnea said. Alara flinched. Kellen was her ex-fiancé. He had left her 8 years ago when taking care of her sick parents became too much for him. This isn't about Kellen, Alara said. Isn't it? Linnea asked. You've been protecting yourself since then, but Mom and Dad are gone now. You don't have to keep waiting. You can live your life. Before Alara could answer, her phone buzzed. A message from Thayer. Good morning. Hope you slept well. Any chance you're free for lunch? Linnea peeked at the message. Say yes. I'm supposed to help you, Alara said. We're almost done, and Jenny won't come until 2. Go have lunch with the handsome millionaire. Linnea smiled. Live a little. Alara paused, then texted back. Lunch sounds nice. Where? Thayer replied fast. Meet me in the lobby at noon. Wear something comfy. I'm taking you to my favorite spot. Not fancy, but very real. At noon, Alara saw Thayer waiting in the lobby. He looked different, more relaxed. He wore jeans, a soft shirt, and no socks. You look nice, he said with a smile. So do you, Alara said. She felt happy just seeing him. They got in his car, not a shiny sports car, but an old Jeep with wood on the sides. It was my grandpa's, he said. I fixed it myself. You fix cars too? Alara asked as they drove away. Just this one, he said. I used to spend summers with my grandparents. I loved riding in this car with my grandpa. Alara smiled. Thayer didn't seem like just a rich man now. He had good memories too. They went to a tiny restaurant in a neighborhood far from the fancy places. It looked like a little shack with picnic tables outside. Best shrimp sandwich in Charleston, Thayer said. They stood in line with local people to order. This is way better than fancy, Alara said. They sat at a table and ate their food from paper wrappers. It was messy but super yummy. Alara hadn't enjoyed a meal like this in forever. So tell me about the wedding, Thayer said while chewing. Is it super fancy? Probably worse, Alara laughed. My sister says the budget is tastefully extravagant. Thayer smiled. The Pearsons don't do anything small. I know Kellen Pearson, Eamon's dad, he added. We work together sometimes. He doesn't like the bride, but it's not personal. He wouldn't like anyone who takes his son's attention away from the family business. He wiped his hands and looked at Alara. Enough about them. What are your plans while you're here? Just wedding stuff. Rehearsal dinner tonight, wedding tomorrow, then back to real life. That's it? You're not seeing the city? I'm not really here for fun, Alara said. That's a shame, Thayer said. What if I show you my favorite places tomorrow morning before the wedding? Alara liked the idea. I don't want to take your time. You wouldn't be, he said kindly. I want to show you. She couldn't say no to those honest eyes. Okay, tomorrow morning. Thayer smiled big. It was worth any trouble just to see that smile. After lunch, he drove her back. Have you thought more about the wedding? He asked in the car. About me going with you? I have, Alara said, but I don't know if it's a good idea. Why? Because whatever this is, it's just a vacation thing. What happens when I go back to Georgia? Thayer stopped the car. Why does something have to end just because it started in a different way? He asked. Because that's life, Alara said. People like you don't end up with people like me. You watch too many soap operas, Thayer teased gently. Real life isn't that simple. Alara laughed. Says the man who lives in a hotel and sends fancy dresses to women. The hotel's temporary. My house is being fixed, and the dress was practical, not fancy, he said. Then he looked serious. Don't push me away just because I have money. Alara didn't know what to say. Come to the rehearsal dinner with me tonight, he said. I can't. It's for family, wedding people, and their guests. Thayer looked at her. Unless you're still trying to hide behind excuses. That's not fair, Alara said. Maybe not, but am I wrong? Before she could answer, her phone rang. It was Linnea. I have to take this, Alara said. Linnea needed help. The flower shop had made a mistake, and Alara had to fix it. I have to go, she told Thayer. I'll drive you. I'll walk, Alara said. She needed to think. Thayer nodded. Think about tonight, he said. I'll be in the lobby at 6 if you decide to give us a real chance. The afternoon went by very fast because there was so much to do for the wedding. Alara worked hard to fix the flower problem, helped her nervous niece practice saying her wedding vows, and listened to her sister Linnea worry about everything, from the weather to where people would sit. By the time Alara got back to her hotel room to get ready for the practice dinner, she was super tired. While she took a shower, Alara thought about Thayer and the special invitation he gave her. A part of her wanted to say yes. That part liked the way Thayer talked to her, not just like a helper or someone strong, but like a real person. But another part of her, the careful part that always tried to protect her heart, was scared. It told her that Thayer was not the kind of man who stayed interested in women like her. Maybe he would lose interest one day, and then she would feel sad. As she dried her hair, someone knocked on the door. It was a hotel worker with another white box. A delivery for Miss Monroe, he said. Inside the box was another dress. This one was deep green and would make her eyes look even prettier. There was a note that said, "Front, no pressure, but if you decide to come, I thought you might like choices. Either way, I'll be in the lobby at 6. G." Alara sat on the bed and looked at the green dress on her lap. This man was making it very hard to stay careful. Then her phone rang. It was Linnea again. "The groom's dad is being difficult," she said right away. "He invited some business friend to the dinner without telling anyone. Now we have to fix the seating. Do you have a date? If not, I have to put you at the cousins' table." Alara closed her eyes. It felt like the universe was trying to push her toward Thayer. "Actually," Alara said slowly, "I might have someone." After the call, Alara looked at the green dress again. It was beautiful, and she was sure it would fit perfectly, just like the blue one did. At 5:55, Alara walked into the hotel lobby wearing the green dress. She also wore some pretty earrings Linnea let her borrow. Her hair was up in a nice and simple style, and she had spent more time doing her makeup than she usually did. Thayer was already there, wearing a charcoal-colored suit. He looked very handsome. His face lit up when he saw her, and he walked straight to her. "You came," he said, like he couldn't believe it. "I did," Alara smiled. She smoothed out her dress. "Thank you for this. It's beautiful." "You're beautiful," he said. "The dress is just fabric." Alara blushed. "My sister called. The groom's father brought a business guest, and they need more people to fill seats." Thayer's smile got smaller. "So I'm just filling a chair?" "No," Alara said quickly. "You're my plus one, if you still want to be." Thayer's smile came back, even bigger than before. "I do." The dinner was held at a fancy restaurant near the water. Twinkling lights hung above the terrace, and there were flowers everywhere. Alara introduced Thayer to her family and tried not to notice the way Linnea raised her eyebrows when she saw who Alara brought. "Thayer Fox?" Linnea whispered when they were alone. "You didn't tell me it was that Thayer!" "Would it have made a difference?" "Of course not," Linnea said, looking impressed. "But still, he can't take his eyes off you, you know." Alara looked across the room. Thayer was talking to Jenny's fiancé, Eamon. "It's not serious, Meg. Don't make it into something it's not. The man sent you 2 designer dresses in 2 days. He's not looking for something small, sweetie." Before Alara could answer, something happened near the door. A man named Kellen Pearson, Eamon's dad, walked in with his wife and another man. Alara's eyes widened. She knew that man. Even though it had been 8 years, she remembered him. People around the room whispered, "Who invited Kellen Pearson's wife's brother?" That's not her brother. That's Kellen Pearson Jr., his older son from his first marriage. He lives in Atlanta. Alara looked at Thayer. He was standing very still, staring at the new man. The air in the room felt cold. Kellen Jr. saw Thayer and stopped in his tracks. "What is he doing here?" Kellen Jr. shouted, pointing at Thayer. The room got very quiet. Eamon looked confused. "Dad invited him, I think." "No," Kellen Sr. said. "I didn't invite Fox." Everyone looked at Thayer. He stayed calm and said, "I'm here as Alara Monroe's guest. She's the bride's aunt." Kellen Jr. laughed, but not nicely. "Of course you are. Always playing some game, huh, Fox?" Alara was frozen. What was happening? How did these men know each other? Linnea stood beside her. "What's going on?" "I have no idea," Alara whispered. Kellen, seeing Gray, stepped between the two men. "This is not the time or the place, Kellen. We're here for Eamon and Jenny." "Fine," Kellen Jr. said angrily. "But don't expect me to eat with the man who stole my wife." Everyone gasped. Alara's heart dropped. "Wife?" she whispered. Thayer had been married to Kellen Jr.'s wife. Thayer's face stayed calm, but his jaw tightened. "That was a long time ago, Kellen, and it's not what happened, and you know it." "Oh, I know," Kellen Jr. snapped. "I went on a trip for work and came home to divorce papers and a moving truck. 2 months later, she was with you at a fancy party." "That was 7 years ago," Thayer said, "and Mira had left you long before she even met me." Alara felt sick. Thayer had never told her any of this. He never mentioned a wife, especially not one who had been married to someone else first. What else hadn't he told her? Jenny, the bride, looked like she was about to cry. Eamon tried to calm his brother while giving sorry looks to his fiancée. Linnea looked like she was both super curious and worried about her daughter's special night. Alara felt like she had to fix this. This had all happened because she brought Thayer. She walked over to him. "Thayer," she said softly, "maybe we should go." He looked at her with sad eyes. "I'm sorry, Alara. I didn't know Kellen Jr. would be here. He lives in Atlanta now. I never thought—" "It's okay," she said. "But I think we should leave." He nodded and turned to the room. "I'm very sorry to everyone, especially the bride and groom. I never wanted to ruin your special night. Please enjoy your dinner." He held out his arm for Alara. She took it, feeling everyone's eyes on them as they walked out. Outside, the warm air felt better. Alara finally breathed. "What was that about?" she asked. "You were married to his wife?" Thayer ran a hand through his hair. He looked tired. "Not exactly. It's complicated." "Make it simple," Alara said. She stepped away from him. "Because right now I'm wondering what else you've kept from me." He sighed. "Mira was Kellen's wife, yes, but their marriage was already broken when I met her. He was very controlling and unkind. She had already filed for divorce when we met at a charity event." "And you started dating her?" "Not right away. We became friends. I helped her get a job and find a place to live. Later, when her divorce was final, we started dating. But Kellen has always blamed me for everything. It's easier for him than seeing the truth." Alara looked at him closely. She only saw sadness in his eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I don't talk about it much. Mira and I didn't last. She moved to California years ago, and I didn't think it mattered now." Alara's voice rose. "You don't think I should know all this before bringing you to dinner with that family?" "You're right," Thayer said. "I should have told you, but I had no idea Kellen Jr. would be there. He and his dad hardly talk." Alara hugged herself. She suddenly felt cold. "This is why we don't make sense," she said. "Your life is too messy. There's too much I don't know." "Everyone has a past, Alara. Not everyone's past ruins rehearsal dinners," she said, taking a deep breath. "I should go back. My sister needs me. And I've made enough of a mess tonight." "Alara, please," he said. "Don't let this ruin what we're starting." She looked at him. The handsome, kind man who brought so much surprise to her quiet life. "I don't know what we're starting, Thayer, and I don't know if we can finish it." She turned to leave, but he gently took her hand. "Our tour tomorrow morning," he said. "Please don't cancel it." Alara hesitated. I don't think it's a good idea. One more chance, he whispered. Let me show you my Charleston. After that, if you still want to walk away, I won't stop you. She should have said no. The careful part of her said it loudly, but another part, the brave part, whispered that maybe love was worth a little risk. What time? She asked. 8. I'll meet you in the lobby. 8, she repeated. Then she pulled her hand away and walked back inside, not sure if she was making a big mistake or doing something very right. Inside, the party was back to normal. Linnea rushed over. Where's your handsome millionaire? It's complicated. Linnea gave her a kind look. Men usually are. Are you okay? Alara nodded. I'm fine. Let's focus on Jenny and Eamon. It's their night. But as Alara smiled and talked to the guests, her thoughts were somewhere else, with a man who had made her simple life feel very complicated. And even though she tried not to think about it, she was already looking forward to 8 the next morning. The next morning, Alara woke up early. Her dreams were full of wedding dresses and angry voices. She didn't sleep well after the rehearsal dinner. Linnea had asked her about what happened with Kellen Jr., and Alara told her what little she knew. But it only made Linnea ask more questions. Are you sure you want to be with someone who has that much trouble in his past? Linnea asked. It was a good question. The safe answer was no. But as Alara got dressed to meet Thayer, she had to admit something to herself. She wasn't listening to the safe part anymore. Alara wore simple clothes that morning, jeans, a light shirt, and comfy walking shoes. She didn't wear any fancy clothes today. If Thayer was going to show her his favorite places in Charleston, she wanted to be herself. At exactly 8 a.m., she found him waiting in the hotel lobby. He wore khaki pants and a soft blue shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He didn't look like a rich man. He looked like someone who gives tours around the city. You came, he said, looking happy. I said I would, Alara replied. After what happened last night, I wouldn't have blamed you if you changed your mind, Thayer said. He looked sorry. I'm sorry about last night, he added. I didn't want to cause any trouble. Even though Alara didn't want to, she believed him. So what are we doing this morning? She asked. Thayer's face lit up. First, we'll have breakfast at a place that tourists don't know about. Then we'll take a walk to my favorite places in the old part of the city. Let's go, Alara said, walking beside him as they left the hotel. The morning air was fresh and smelled a little salty from the harbor. Thayer took her down small, quiet streets where there weren't many people. He pointed to old buildings and little gardens that tourists didn't usually see. He showed her special doors, windows, and even spots where war heroes once stood. How do you know all this stuff? Alara asked as they looked at a big old oak tree covered in pretty moss. My grandpa was a history teacher here in Charleston, Thayer said, smiling as he remembered. He used to take me on walks just like this when I was a little boy. He said, it's important to know the past to build the future. Is that why you became a builder? To build the future? Alara asked. Partly, Thayer said, but not in the way my dad wanted. He just cared about money. I care about saving old places and giving them a new life. What do you mean? Alara asked. I buy old buildings that people want to tear down and fix them up, he explained. Like that one, he pointed to a brick building. It used to be an old factory, and now it's a place where artists live and work. Alara looked at the building with surprise. I didn't expect that. Because people think rich builders are greedy, Thayer said with a soft smile. Something like that, Alara said. I do work on fancy projects too, Thayer added, but the money I make from those helps me fix buildings that matter more to me. They stopped at a tiny cafe on a quiet street. The lady behind the counter smiled when she saw Thayer. Thayer, I'll make your breakfast myself, she said happily. They sat by the window, eating the tastiest biscuits Alara had ever tried and drinking coffee from funny little cups that didn't match. Mrs. Patterson has made those biscuits since I was in high school, Thayer said. I used to ride my bike here every Saturday morning. You grew up close to here? Alara asked. Just 6 blocks that way, he said, pointing. My old house is still there. My parents are gone now. I live by the water, but my house is being fixed, so I'm staying in the hotel. And the Mira thing? Alara asked softly. She needed to know. Does that happen a lot? Angry exes showing up? She added. Thayer set down his mug. No, Charleston is small, but not that small. Mira's ex, Kellen Jr., moved to Atlanta years ago. He looked at her seriously. And I don't date people who are still married, no matter what Kellen says. But you dated Mira, Alara said. Yes, we were together for a year. It ended badly, not because of Kellen, but because we were both hurt from other stuff. It wasn't a good start. And since then, Alara asked, I've had a few relationships, but none that lasted. Thayer said, giving a small smile. Having money makes dating tricky. I never know if someone likes me for me or for what I can give. Alara understood. She felt the same way sometimes, but in a different way. She took another sip of her coffee. So why me? Why didn't you call security when you found me in your bed? Thayer thought for a moment. You looked so peaceful, so real. Not fake or perfect, just human. He smiled. Then you mumbled something about peach cobbler, and I got curious. So I have my grandma's dessert to thank for this tour? Alara asked. Partly, Thayer said, but mostly because of how you acted the next morning. You were embarrassed, but you still stood tall. Most women I know would have flirted or had a fit. I thought about both, Alara joked, and they both laughed. After breakfast, they kept walking. Thayer showed her more hidden places, quiet courtyards, secret alleyways, and places with fun stories from the past. He took her to a small park where he used to play and to a bakery that made his birthday cakes for 18 years. It wasn't just a tour of Charleston, it was a tour of Thayer's life. As the sun got warmer, they stopped by the harbor. Boats floated by on the sparkling water. One last stop, Thayer said, leading her to an old building. A sign said, Charleston Harbor Inn. What's this? Alara asked as he unlocked the door. A piece of history, and maybe something more. He held the door open. After you. Alara stepped inside. The room was dusty, but she could see it had once been beautiful. There was a big staircase, old furniture under cloths, and tall windows that looked out at the water. This used to be one of Charleston's nicest little hotels, Thayer explained. It opened in 1895 and closed in 1985. It's been empty ever since. It's beautiful, Alara said, touching the wooden railing. I hoped you'd see that, Thayer said with a smile. I bought it last year. I've been trying to figure out what to do with it. You could fix it and turn it into a hotel again, Alara suggested. The view is amazing. That's one idea, Thayer said, but I was thinking of something more special. Like what? Alara asked. Like a bed and breakfast, he said casually, but he was watching her face closely. With porches, a garden, and rooms named after book characters. Alara froze. Her heart started beating fast. That sounds like my dream. It should, Thayer said. It is your dream. I've been waiting for the right person and the right idea. I think this could be it. You can't be serious, Alara said, feeling dizzy. We barely know each other. I know enough, he said kindly. I know you're smart. I know you understand how to make people feel welcome, and I know this building has waited for a year for the right person to bring it back to life. A business partnership? Alara repeated. Yes, Thayer nodded. You'd run it. I'd help with the money and fixing it up. We could make it just like you imagined. This is crazy, she whispered. Maybe, he said. Or maybe it's the best thing we've done in a long time. Alara looked out the big window at the harbor. It was almost too much to believe. Her dream right in front of her. Why? She asked. Why would you do this? Thayer stood beside her. Partly because it's a smart idea, but this place, your dream, it could be something special. And the other part? He looked at her. Because in just 3 days, you've made me feel alive again. Because when you talk about your dream, your whole face shines. And because I think we'd be great together in work and maybe more. His words made her heart flutter. I need time, Alara said. You have it, Thayer replied gently, moving his hand away from her cheek. They locked the door behind them and walked back to the hotel in quiet, each lost in thought. At the hotel, Thayer stopped. You need to get ready for the wedding. Will you be there? Alara asked. I'll stay out of the way, he promised. Kellen Jr. left for Atlanta this morning, but if you'd rather I didn't come, I understand. Alara thought about it. No, come. Just sit in the back. Hope filled Thayer's eyes. Are you sure? I'm not sure about anything, she said. But I know I want you there. He nodded. See you this afternoon then. Alara watched him walk away, her mind full of dreams she'd never dared to believe in before. The wedding was big and beautiful. Jenny wore a lovely dress, and Eamon looked at her with love in his eyes. Even Kellen Sr. looked happy as Eamon said his vows. Alara saw Thayer sitting at the back. He waved at her, but stayed far away like he promised. She couldn't stop thinking about him during the ceremony. What would it be like to build something with him? A business, maybe even more. At the party after the wedding, Alara was busy. She took photos, gave toasts, and danced with relatives she barely knew. It was evening before she finally found a quiet spot in the garden, away from the music and talking. The night air smelled sweet with jasmine and magnolia. Charleston really did have magic, a mix of old stories and new chances. Hiding? A familiar voice asked. Alara turned. Thayer stood there with 2 glasses of sparkling juice. Taking a break, she said, smiling as she took a glass. It's been a long day. Your niece looks happy, he said. She does, Alara agreed. They both do. Young love, Thayer said. Remember when anything felt possible? Kind of, Alara said. It's been a while. They stood quietly for a moment. I've been thinking about your offer, Alara said at last. You don't have to decide now. I know, she said, but I've been thinking anyway. Alara turned to look at Thayer. It's too big, Thayer. Too much, too fast. Thayer looked sad, but he nodded. I understand. No, I don't think you do, Alara said, putting down her glass of bubbly drink. I can't just accept a dream that's already made. Dreams are built slowly, step by step. Thayer looked at her kindly. Is that what your grandma would say? That question surprised Alara. What? Thayer smiled. The grandma who taught you how to make peach cobbler? Would she tell you to say no to something just because it came easily? Alara thought about her grandma. She was a strong and smart woman. No, Alara said quietly. She would probably tell me to grab the chance with both hands and not look back. Smart woman, Thayer said. But this isn't just about a job or a dream, is it? Alara looked him in the eyes. No, it's about us, whatever us means, and 3 days just isn't enough to know what that really is. Thayer took a step closer. What if we had more time? What do you mean? Alara asked. I'm asking you to stay, Alara, not forever, just a week or 2. Learn more about Charleston, learn more about me. He looked serious. No promises, just time. Time to see if this could be something special. Alara shook her head slowly. I have a job. People count on me. You could take a little vacation, Thayer said gently. When was the last time you took a real break? Alara thought hard. It had been a long time, maybe even years. Stay, Thayer said again, this time more softly. Let's see if this is real or just a happy dream. Before Alara could say anything, Linnea came up, a little out of breath. There you are. Jenny is about to throw her bouquet. She's looking for you. I'll be right there, Alara said. To Thayer, she added, I need to go. Think about it, Thayer said. Whatever you decide, I'll understand. Alara went back to the party and stood with the other single women as Jenny got ready to toss her flowers. Alara wasn't even trying to catch them, but somehow the bunch of white roses flew right into her arms. Linnea squealed with excitement, but frozen. Alara just stood there, frozen. The flowers felt heavy, like they meant something big. She looked across the crowd and saw Thayer. He was smiling, like he already knew what the flowers meant. The next morning, Alara stood in her hotel room. Her suitcase was packed, and her plane to Georgia was leaving in 3 hours. Linnea had already left for the airport with her new husband. On the desk was Thayer's business card and one pretty rose. Someone had left it at her door the night before. The note said, "Room service is better with you here. G." Alara picked up her phone and called the number on the card. Thayer answered on the second ring. "Good morning," he said warmly. "Morning," Alara said, taking a deep breath. "About your offer?" "Yes," Thayer asked, full of hope. "I can't stay right now. I need to go back to Georgia for a while. I have people who need me." "I understand," Thayer said. She could hear the sadness in his voice, even though he tried to hide it. "But," Alara continued, "I want to explore the B idea. Maybe we can start with plans, research, and see if it can work." "Really?" Thayer sounded happy again. "Yes. And maybe, if you want, we could also explore. Us." "Halfway?" Thayer asked, not sure what she meant. "Cooperville is only 4 hours from Charleston," Alara explained. "You have a car. I have weekends off." There was a little pause, then Thayer laughed. "Are you asking me to come visit you, Alara Monroe?" "I'm saying we don't need to rush," Alara said, feeling brave. "But we don't need to stop either. Unless you only want me if I move to Charleston right now." "I want you," Thayer said gently. "The rest, we can figure out." Alara smiled with relief. "Good. I'd like to see where this goes, even if it's not easy." They made a plan. Thayer would drive to Cooperville the next weekend. He'd meet her friends and see her little town. When the call ended, Alara finished packing her bag. But now her heart felt lighter. Maybe this thing with Thayer was wild. Maybe it wouldn't last. But maybe, just maybe, it was something real. 4 weeks later, Alara stood inside the old Charleston Harbor Inn. Workers were busy cleaning up the dust and fixing the place. They had started the renovation. Thayer was paying for it, but it was her dream and her ideas. They had agreed to keep it small at first, just 6 guest rooms, a dining space, and the pretty lobby. The last month had been busy with weekend visits. Thayer came to Cooperville. Alara went to Charleston. They talked on the phone every day, sometimes until midnight. Each meal, each laugh, and each quiet moment made their bond grow stronger. "What do you think?" Thayer asked as he stood next to her. "Is it what you imagined?" Alara looked around the building that was slowly coming back to life. "It's even better, because it's really happening." Thayer took her hand and smiled. "Have you thought about a name?" "I have," Alara said, giving his hand a little squeeze. "What about room for one more?" Thayer raised an eyebrow. "That's very specific. Why that name?" "Because that's how this started," Alara said with a smile. "You made room for me, even when you didn't have to." Thayer smiled back. "I like it. It's perfect." As workers moved around them, fixing up the old inn, Alara leaned on Thayer's shoulder. Their lives were different, but they had found a way to fit them together. Yes, his money still made her feel weird sometimes, but Thayer was kind and never tried to control her. He always listened. "I have something for you," Thayer said, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out a small, shiny key on a ribbon. "It's not what you think," he said quickly. "It's the original key to this building. I found it in the city records." Alara took the key and felt its weight. It felt special. "It can be a symbol," Thayer said, "of old things becoming new, of doors opening instead of closing." Alara laughed a little. "Are you always this romantic?" "Only with you," Thayer said, smiling seriously. "You bring it out in me." That night, they went back to the Charleston Grand Hotel. It was the same hotel where they had first met. Thayer still kept the same suite, even though his house was ready now. He said it was for memories. When Alara walked in, she saw something new. A small gold sign next to the door. It read, "This room reserved for the woman who fell asleep and woke me up." "When did you do this?" she asked, touching the sign. "This afternoon," Thayer said, hugging her from behind. "Too much?" "Maybe a little," Alara said with a smile, "but I love it anyway." Inside, the room looked just like that first morning. Soft lights, clean sheets, even chocolate on the pillows. But this time, there was no mistake, no confusion. There were just two people who had found something special. Thayer handed her a mug of coffee just like that first day. "To new beginnings," he said, raising his cup. "And to wrong room keys," Alara added, tapping her mug against his. They stood together on the balcony, looking out at the lights over the water. Alara thought about everything that had happened in just 1 month. She had a new dream, a new hope, and most of all, she wasn't scared anymore. "What are you thinking about?" Thayer asked. Wrapping his arm around her. "I'm thinking that the best things happen when we don't expect them," Alara said. "And I'm glad I was too sleepy to check the room number that night." "So am I," Thayer said, kissing the top of her head. Behind them, the bed waited, the same bed where their story had started. But tonight, Alara wouldn't sleep alone. And tomorrow morning when she woke up, Thayer would be there too. Not because luck brought them together, but because they chose to be. With open hearts, ready for what comes next. And for the first time in many years, neither of them would wake up alone. Thanks for watching. If you like the story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Check out our other videos too. See you in the next one.